Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good day, good day everyone. My name is Lahatunde Ridwan, the owner of Slim Read Graphics. So welcome to the second class of this 5 days free class. So in this video, I will complete the introduction to Pixellab. So I believe by now you should have watched the first video that I dropped. So if I continue with this, you'll be able to relate everything together. So let us open our Pixellab. So this is our Pixellab. Remember I told you that our interface is divided into 4 segments. We've talked about the first and the second segment in the first video. So in this video, we'll be talking on the third and the fourth segment. So you see this third segment, it is linked with the fourth segment, because whatever that appears on this third segment will always come from this fourth segment. For example, you can see that we have a blue color around this 3 cycle here, which means that all what appears here belong to this part. For example, if I press this A now, you can see that it has changed from that the former thing that we have there. It has changed to all this. So if I still press this again, it will change. So that's how this third segment and fourth segment works. And there are some things that they will still appear in this third and fourth segment, and we've talked about it in this first and second segment. So by the time we start explaining, you're going to understand better. So the first thing we have here is my project. Just like I already told you that you can save your work as project and you can save it as image. If you save as image, that means you are trying to save your design on your phone. And if you are saving as project, that means you want to save your graphics on this application, on this Pixellab. So after maybe you want to send your work to your clients, then after the correction you can just come back here and click on my project, then you click on that work, then you correct the errors that you want. Or if you want to save the work for reference purpose, you can still do that. You can save it as project. It's just as if you are saving the copy. So in case maybe you might need any of the resources that you use. So this part, I have default, thin, keep calm, mem, 3D tests and others. They are default templates that comes along with our Pixellab. So all these, they are free template that you can use, and if you don't wish to use them, you can just create your own design from the scratch. So for example, if you want to use something like this, you can see that immediately I press this part, the size it increase, and we have red background, and we have other things here, keep calm, and you can add other things by yourself. That's why we're having this new text inside the box. So if you want to edit it, you know how to do that already. So this is a template. If you click on this, you can see it changed from the keep calm to men. If you click this, it will change to 3D. And if you click on this new text and you write anything there, whatever you write will be in that format. For example, here I Slim Read graphics. Okay, can you see that our Slim Read graphics has turned to the 3D text. So if you want to increase if you want the graphics to come, can you see now? If you want it to come in front of Slim Read, you just increase the space from here. So those are the things that you need to know. So you can only have access to these parts if and only you click this part of the fourth segment. So that's that on this part. So let us move to the second part, which is this A. This A is for editing. You can see immediately I press this A, the blue color shift from these 3 cycles to this A. So the first thing we have here is style. This style is like still adding beauty to your text. We have the default style. For example, if you click on this browse, these are the default samples that we have. Now let us try it. Let me write something. Let me write slim read graphics. Okay, now this style browse. Okay, now before I do that, let me copy it. I want to make it to now this is the first one. So this one I want to make it to be like this. Can you see that this particular one looks like the former one that I used earlier? So let me use this. Okay, let me increase the size. So now this particular one, let me use the one at the front. Can you see now? All these they are default styles that comes with our Pixellab, and you can see that if you press it again, you can see save here. That means if you want to create your own style, maybe you have a particular style that you want, you can just create it. Then after that, you click on this save. If you save it, can you now see save the current text as a new style? That means you want to save your own style, but that's not what I won't be doing any style here. I just want to explain to you. So that's that on this style. So on this edit, that's if you want to edit your text. So if you want to change from slim read graphics to slim read or slim read media and creativity. Can you see now? That's if you want to edit something. And if you want to delete, you click on this delete. So if you want what you've deleted to come back again, just click on this arrow here to return to the former thing that we have on the screen. So assuming you want to copy now, you want to make it double, just click on copy. Then we are going to have the slim reader and creativity twice. So now, for example, this slim read media is in front of the slim read graphics. You can just you can put it to the back by clicking on to back. You can see that this slim read graphics is now at the front of slim read media and creativity. So if you still want to make the slim read graphics, you want to put it at the back, just click to back. If you want to make it to front, click to front. So, and if you want to edit, maybe if you want to shift, just click on this. If you increase this, that means the rate at which the object you are shifting, the rate at which it will be moving will depend on whatever you set here. If you reduce it to 1, you cannot compare it. You can see the way it is moving. You cannot compare it when you increase it. So this relative position is just like setting our work at the center or to any other side you want. If you want to put it to the left side, just click on this part. And if you want to put it to the right side, click here, to the lower part, to the upper part, or to the center. If you want it to be between the left and the right, and you want to set your text at the center, just click here. You can see left and right. So if you want it to be from up to down, and you want it you want to put it at the center, just click this lower one. So by doing this, you are trying to put your work at the center. What we call the center of origin. So that's what you are trying to do here. So this text here, this size rather, is used for increasing and decreasing the size. You know that you can also do it manually by using your hand to drag this and this. You remember that. So you can also use this to increase and to decrease. It's depends on the one you want to use. So this padding now, okay, now for padding, you can see that the space between the S of this graphics and the end of this box, you can see that we have a little space compared to the S of this slim reed and the box. You can see that there's no space. You can just increase the space of the box and the S of the slim reed by using this padding. You know the S is towards the left side, so that means you'll be adjusting from this left padding. You can just click on plus. You are trying to create space. Can you see that we now have space between the S of the slim reed and the box compared to how it looks like before? So that's what. And if you don't want anything, if you want to return back to the normal state, just click on this circular arrow here. Can you see now that there is no space again? If you want to return it back, click this. So for color, if you want to change color, so here we have normal color and gradient. I have explained that before. So this color is, this ordinary color is solid color, so that means a single color. While gradient, it means two color or more than two colors. So if you want to add a single color to your text, just can see that we now have it black, white, orange. And if you choose gradient, so more than two color, can you see now? So you can still set your gradient color by yourself. Maybe you want a particular color, you just set it. Maybe this part you want it as red, click OK. Then this one, let's leave this one as let's increase the blue like this. Okay, can you see how we have it now? You can just leave it like that. So that's the essence of the color. And texture, that's if you want your slim reed graphics to have a particular color effect. Maybe you want it to have this sky effect, just do it like this, then click OK. Can you see now? You can maintain the ratio, or you do it manually by increasing. Now, assuming we have the slim reed graphics in bigger size, the sky effect will appear more clearer than how it appears now. So the opacity, I said opacity works like setting transparency of an object. So if you decrease the opacity, the object will start fading, and if you increase, it will appear again. You can see that this particular slim reed graphics, this, you know, we are using a particular style from the fourth style that we have on our Pixellab. So that means they've added shadow to this slim reed graphics. So the template we are using, they've added our shadow to it. That's why after I reduce the opacity, and you can see that as I'm reducing this, the one that we added, the sky effect, is no longer appearing. It's only the shadow that is blurry. That's the only thing that we have in here. So this thing is shadow. So the normal text font, it has disappeared. So if you want to set that, you can just use your opacity to do that. So if you want to rotate, can you see now? And you can still do it manually by using this part that looks like half of a cycle. You can use it to adjust. So this marks is for cutting parts of an object, maybe a text or any other object that you have on your screen. For example, you can see this, you can see how it looks like now. So if you click enable, you can see that this part that is surrounded by the line has been cut off. So which means the inner part, assuming you click out now, that means the part that are not inside this line. So can you now see? So this marks is used for cutting away parts of our objects. And this font, if you want to choose a particular font, these are the default fonts that we have in our Pixellab. You can still download or install other fonts to your Pixellab. For example, if you click on this my font now, these are the fonts that I have downloaded them. So but these are the default fonts that comes with our Pixellab. So assuming you want to change it now, just click on it, then click this. Can you see now? Can you see that it has changed? But so let's just return it back to normal. So this style now, if you want it to become bolder, just click on B. Okay, let's use this. Let's use this part. If you want it, sorry. Okay, so if you want it to become bolder now, can you see now? And assuming you want it to be in italic form, that is, you want to italicize it, just click on this I. Can you see that it's no longer standing straight, it has become slant. So if you want it to have a line under it, so, and if you want to cancel what you have done, just click on this one, this T that has a cross. So for curve, immediately I move this towards the positive side, you can see that it looks like half of a circle towards the upper part. If I draw it to the negative side, half of a circle towards the negative side. So that's that. If you want to add curve to your to your text, so this text background, we already have the text background here, and that you can see that is you have a black background across this slim media and creativity. So if you turn it off now, can you see that we don't have it again? And you can also change the color, maybe to green or to any other color that you want. You can increase the left padding. The left padding is the space from this. So for example now, can you see I draw it towards the negative side and the background is moving away. If I draw it towards the positive side, that means I'm trying to increase the padding. So for the right side as well, can you see now? For the upper parts, for the lower parts, and also look at this background. You can see that the edges of the background is pointed. So if you don't want it to be pointed, you can just increase the radius. Can you see as I'm increasing it, it is becoming round. So you can just increase to your taste. It depends on how you want it. So this is align. This align. Now I won't be using this. Let me use this for the align. This one now. If you click here, that means you want to align your work towards the left side. Can you see now that this creativity that is at the lower part has moved to the left side? And if you want the creativity to move to the right side, just click here. If you want the creativity to be at the center, just click here. Are you getting? And if you want to justify your work, just click it. Click here. Now let me make that justification more. Let's have it like this, or at the center here. Can you see now? That's how the justification works. So for spacing, we have letters and we have words. For letters, that's for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, blah, 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 like that. So in this limited media and creativity, the letters that we have are S, L, I, M, R, E, E, D, M, E, D, I, A, N, D, and others. So if you are increasing it, that means you want to increase the space between each letters. Can you see now? Why that of words? Slim read is a word, media is a word, hand is a word, creativity is a word. So that means you want to increase the space between the slim read and media, and creativity. So that's how all this thing works. And here you can see that this spacing, this one that I just explained now, is in a horizontal form. That is, we are trying to increase the space horizontally. So for this line space now, this is for vertical. That means, we only have a slimming media at the upper part and creativity at the lower part. So if you are trying to increase the space between slimming media and creativity, so you want the space between them. You want to increase the space between them. You can just draw it towards the positive side here. Can you see now that The slim media is at the upper part, and creativity is at the lower part. So if you want them to come together, just move towards the negative side. Can you see now? You can play along with all this, then they are very easy. You just get them uh, easily. So for this stroke is like adding a border to our text. Immediately I enable this, can you observe that there is a black uh, black line that surrounded this slim read media and creativity? Now check it again. Can you see how it looks before? Compare it to now. So which means this particular stroke is in black color. You can just change the color to red or to green, and you can also increase. Can you see now? The border is now visible compared to how it looks before. So you can just set. It all depends on ahead. Can you see this one is more visible? It all depends on how you want the stroke to look like. All these are just like, they works like enhancements. So by the time you are adding this to your text, they will look more beautiful. And this shadow, just like I already explained the shadow here. By the time I decrease the opacity of this slim read graph is here, that we still have the shadow. So if you want to create shadow to this as well, and just click it, then you enable it. Can you now see that we now have black shadow at the back of the slim media and creativity? You can change the color from black to green or to any other color. You can change it to white. Can you see now? So you can still reduce the opacity of the shadow. For example, let's use this white. This white is more visible. So if you want to reduce the opacity of the shadow, just draw it towards the negative side. You can see that the shadow has reduced. You want to increase it. Then the blur radius. Can you see? Immediately I increase this blur radius, the shadow increase. It spread. You cannot compare how it looks now with this. So all these outer glow, if you enable this, that means you are trying to set the offset. If you want, we have the S, we have the Y. I used a graph to explain in our previous class. I used graph to explain while I was trying to set our objects at the center. So now this S, if you are moving towards the S, that means you are moving horizontally. So you can either move your shadow towards the right side or towards the left side. And if you are using the Y, that means we are moving it vertically. So maybe you are moving towards the lower part or towards the upper part. So all these, you can use all these. It depends on how you want your design to look like. So this inner shadow, aside the normal shadow, you can still create shadow inwardly. The former shadow I explained is outside shadow. This one is inner shadow. So can you see now? Immediately I click on the enable, you can see that instead of the white part at the center of the slim read, it looks like a black color now. You can still change to green or to any other color that you want. And you can still increase it. The blur radius, you can increase the blur radius of the inner shadow as well. You can set the offset just like we did, maybe towards this or towards this side. So you can just play along with all this, then you get them easily. This emboss, you remember that while I was dealing with this part, if I increase it, you can see that immediately I increase this now. You can see that there is some part of the words are disappearing. So if you want this to look, so you want this library media and creativity to look like this library graph is now, you can do that from this emboss. Once you enable it and you try to, can you see now? If you try to increase, so can you see now? If you want to get this limited media and creativity, if you want to get them full, you want to get it back in full, you can just use this to increase the size, or you reduce the size. Either of the two, you get it in full back. Can you see now? So aside that, we are trying to cut off some parts of this slim read media and creativity. You can see that this slim read media and creativity is now looking more beautiful than how it looks before. Now observe very well. I'm going to off this emboss, then focus on the slim media and creativity, and I will enable it back. You will see the difference now. Can you see it now? Can you see how the slim media and creativity is looking? By the time I enable it now, can you see how everything is now becoming more round and they are appearing more visible than how they looks before? Can you see now? So by the time you can still set the angle at which you want the slim media and creativity to look. The how do I call this? They have become here now. By the time I move to this angle 142 now, you can see that the light is coming from angle 148. Let me increase the size so that you get. In case you find it difficult to increase the size and get everything, just do it manually by using this button here. Okay, so let's go back to the emboss ahead. Now this is what I'm trying to say. If you focus very well on this test, you see that something is moving around them. Let me increase it using the button again. Okay, so let me just put this towards the. Now you can see here we now have it bolder. So let us move back to emboss. Now check it very well. Can you observe anything? So if you focus very well, you see that something is moving around our text. As they are rotating from this angle, that thing is, the light is also moving towards the angle you are setting here. If you put it at still here, that means the light will also be from this angle. So as you are rotating, the light will be coming from the angle you are setting. So all these, they are advanced settings. Maybe the intensity of the light, you can see now that immediately I increase the intensity, it's changed from that pink color to white. That means we are trying to increase the light. So the pink is fading. The pink is turning to white. So ambient light now, you can still set it. If you increase it, this specular hardness, can you see now the pink is now coming back. Bevel, is like it's like setting how you want the text to appear. Can you see if I reduce the bevel now, it will become flat. This text will become flat. So by the time I start increasing it now, it will become more round compared to how it looks like before. This looks like it looks like as if you are printing something on your clothes using 3D printing. So that's that on this part. So for this perspective part, that's if you are trying to set your work to a particular angle. Now for example, where I want this limit graphics to bend, I want it like this. I just click on enable. Can you see how I have my slimmers graphics now? So you can just return it back to original state, or you set it the way you want. Can you see now? That's how this perspective works. So the 3D rotate. So we have the X, we have the Y. We are trying to rotate upside down. This upside down. So and if you want it left to right, left to right. So that's it. Now 3D test. We enable 3D test. Can you see now? Do you know the meaning of 3D? 3D means this particular test will be seeing 3 sides of it. If you put your test in 2D, that means you'll be seeing only 2 sides of this test. Now let me return this test to its original state. Let me off the perspective and let me reduce. Okay, let me reduce the size. Now let us go back to 3D test. If I enable it, can you see that we are seeing 3 sides? We are seeing this front side, this side, and this back side of this X. The front, the side, and the back. So that's 3D test. So you can set the depth at which you'll be seeing it is at 7. You can increase it. Can you see now? As I'm increasing it, this side is becoming is increasing. So by the time I reduce the depth to 5, can you see now that we can no longer see the side again? So you can still increase it again. So it depends on how depth you want your 3D test to appear. So for this part, the view type, maybe you want it in perspective form or oblique form. This current format that you are seeing is in perspective format. If you change to oblique, can you now see that? Can you see how it appears now? That is the difference between perspective and oblique. The depth color, this depth, the back and the back part that you are seeing, you can change the color. Is in auto. If you click on color now, you can just change to any color that you want. Then you increase it. Can you see now? Or you reduce anyone. It's depending on how you want it. So 3D shadow, if you enable it, okay, let me off the background of this thing so that you can you see now? Can you see that we now have shadow? Can you see we now have shadow at the lower part of this linear media and creativity? You can still increase. This is the opacity. If you want it to, if you don't want the shadow to appear like this, you can just reduce the opacity of it. By the time you excel, you not see it again, and it depends on how you want it. So blur radius, all this, whatever you are doing here with will only belong to will only be for the shadow, not the text. So we are trying to edit the shadow here. So the blur radius is it's like making the shadow to become more blurry. So I already explained something like this in our first class. So if you want to expand, if you want the shadow to spread, just do it from here. So and reflection, you want to create a kind of reflection. So this limit gravity, limit media and creativity. Now have the reflection here. Can you see it now? So you can still set it. Maybe you want the reflection to move away from the text. So that's offset. So and if you want it to come, can you see now? It all depends on how you want it to be. So that's that on this A part. So now let us move to this part. So this part is for sticker. I already explained sticker. And import, if you want to import maybe any object or any other thing, just increase this. This is an image that someone sent me from the group. That person is using iPhone and I wanted to download Pixellab. So this, I already told him that you cannot use Pixellab on iPhone. So he thought this is the Pixellab of iPhone. Well, so that's not the case. Let's just focus on what we are doing. This is an image that I imported. You can see that immediately I imported the image. This thing, can you see that it's changed from the former segments that we have. For example, now let me click this part of our screen. Can you see that we now have the former segment back? But immediately I click on this, it will change because you can still edit this image. Assuming you want to reselect, you want to pick another object, you don't want this image, you can just click on this reselect. If you want to delete it, if you want to crop it, can you see now? If you want to copy it, if you want to make it double, and if you want it, it's already at the front. If you want it to be at the back, just click. You can see that the reflection of this streaming media and creativity is at the front. So if the positioning, I already explained all this: size, color, texture, opacity, color filters. If you want to set the color, stroke, you can still add stroke to this as well, to the outer part. Can you see now? For eraser, if you want to clean any parts. So marks, I already explained marks now. We are trying to cut any part of your text. So this eraser, this is another eraser. Rotate, 3D shape, perspective, all these I've explained it before. So let's continue with draw. I have already explained draw. The shape, I've explained it. This brazier is like using your hand to maybe you want to sketch something out. Can you see now? Just click another thing, another. So you are trying to form a line using as you are clicking it, that's how it will appear. You can just use this. Maybe you draw something on your book and you snap it, and after snapping it, you can just come to your Pixellab and use this Bezier tool to draw it out. You just trace with the line. You trace whatever you've drawn. You trace it with this. So that's how it works. An arrow. If you want to draw arrow, so for this part now, you can increase the size. Can you see now? So begin arrow size. This size you can change it to pointer, or you change it to round, to this, or this. Then end arrow, that is this part. You can make it like this, or like this. Can you see now? Then if you want, can you see now the opacity? If you want to make it transparent, you can set it from here. If you want to change the color. So all these things are what you can easily get by the time you start playing with your Pixellab. So now this part is for setting background color. So if you want, this is at gradient now. The color I set earlier, if I want this background to be in that color, I just click on it like this. Can you see now? If I want it to be in transparent, I just click here. If I want to return it back, I will click on the former color. The image size, just like you can set the image size from here. You can still set the image size here. If you want to import image, if you want to use default image, Or if you want to import image from your gallery as background, and you just do it from here. Or you want to use image from your camera, so you can just do that here. So this part is for editing. So for example, now I want to rotate my work. I just sorry, I was okay. This is another thing. I think we won't be able to rotate. So for this fitness, if you enable it, that means you are going to have a black color around our work. You can stick it from black to green or to any other color. Noise, it's like setting. If you zoom it, can you see this noise? All this thing now. So if I have it, can you see we don't have all those dots. If I increase the noise again, if I enable the noise, it looks like all these are black and white television that lost signal. So that's what noise is. For stripe, we are trying to add line. Let me reduce the size back. Brightness, if you want to increase the brightness, if you want to decrease. Contrast, if you want to increase. Hue, if you want to change color. Can you see that we are changing the color of our background? And saturation, we are trying to make if you want the background to become more deeper and all that's like that. So that's how all these things work. So by the time you are familiar with your Pixellab, you are going to understand everything in details. So all these you cannot get them, you cannot understand them in a day. You still need more practice. If you keep on practicing before a month, or let me say more, even it won't even take you up to 2 months before you can get familiar with all these tools. They are very easier to understand, but you still need practice. So this is going to be the end of today's class. So in our next class, we are going to move to design basis. So thank you very much. I'll see you in next class.